going to New York.
IT's ready.
IT's ready?
Yeah, they needed time.
Oh.
Good? All right. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order.
Communications.
If everyone could please stand. And let's have Ms. Coyne.
Me again? Okay.
Oh, well, Ms. Irvin's our new
You go ahead.
board member.
That's
Our new member. We'll put you on the spot.
Right.
You could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is right
Then
there.
you're going to have to sing next.
So I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. May we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Phillip,
Here.
Ms. Garcia,
Here.
Mr. Haber,
Present.
Mr. Marty,
Yeah.
Mr. McDermott,
Here.
Mr. Mondesir, Ms. Cohen,
Here.
Ms. Irvin.
No.
Here.
Thank you. Ms. Martin, any announcement? Would you please? I'm sorry. Try to move
Good
forward.
evening and welcome to the Board of Adjustment meeting. When your case is called, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Staff will make its presentation to the board first, after which you will have an opportunity to address the board.
Thank you. And because this is a quasi-judicial items that we'll be hearing this tonight, so our attorney will administer the oath.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Anyone desiring to speak this evening on any of the matters, please stand and raise your right hand. Any of the matters. If you decide not to speak, and it's okay, it won't be held against you. Raise, Patricia. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated. Painless.
Any amendments to the agenda, Ms. Martin?
Yes, we'd like to continue case number V913, Salvatore Marletta,
Okay.
and also take a case out of order, case number V1513. The Publix supermarkets will be the first item heard.
Okay. All right. Communications?
Anyone on the board?
From the board?
I've spoken with Mr. Prevotel about his project directly in person.
Okay.
I spoke to Carol Keys regarding the Publix.
Okay. It's okay.
I spoke with Annie Montgomery regarding the Publix.
Okay.
Ditto for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
Yeah.
in the same building.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of which are parties anyway. So, but
okay.
thank you for your candor and disclosure.
Okay.
I spoke with Carol about the Publix issue.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else? Thank you so much.
All right. But before we continue, I would like to take a point of privilege. We do have a presentation that we'd like to do. Is that all right? Okay. Very
Absolutely.
good. I'll stand. You can't see the bottom, I hope. We have a past member in our audience, and we wanted to say, show our gratitude. If Councilwoman Carol Keys would come to the podium, please. And we could come down here. As you go down there, I'll just read what it says. The Board of Adjustment of the City of North Miami presents this award of appreciation to Carol Keys in recognition and gratitude for 15 years of dedicated service as a Board of Adjustment member from 1998 to 2013, including 12 years as chairperson. And let me say it was a pleasure. I served with you most of those years.
Hello. I want to thank you all. This is really overwhelming, and I've served with Rosalind maybe 10, 12 years, and we've had a great staff. I want to thank the city, thank staff, and my board members for all these years. I have learned so much by serving on this Board of Adjustment. I've learned so much about the building and zoning process and other issues in our city, and I've met so many good friends over the years with all the various board members, and I really will treasure that. I'm sorry that I had to resign, in a way. And I want to thank Roland, our attorney, who has just been a wonderful guide to me during all our meetings, and mostly Miss Martin, Joanne. Thank you for everything. Georgette, thank you. But Joanne has been on the board longer than I have. And she was here when I got here, and she has been terrific and always available to answer any questions. So I really thank you. You've really done a good thing for this board. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, I'll stand behind somebody because I'm in jeans. You're in jeans.
I'm a crutches, so forgive me.
Oh, I feel your pain. Literally.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, another one, just say. I'm gonna just ask you guys if you could just move in a little because Marie, part of your body is cut off from the podium. Okay, and that's a good idea. Okay.
You're with me.
Thank you, Roland. I was just gonna say, two-spirit. That's much better. Oh, much better. And you guys look happier this way. All right, big smile, everybody. Right, you got the seal it this way. Okay, we're good. Thank you very much.
Can I spread and listen?
Sure. Okay, down to the business.
Let's shut down now.
Hans, for the record, we're not shorties, we're vertically
Whoa.
challenged.
Slide around again.
Okay, our very first case, V-15-13, Public Supermarket,
That one's going
1755 Northeast 127th Street. Applicant?
I'm sorry, did we approve the minutes?
Oh,
But I'll motion
I'm,
to approve.
thank you,
I'll second. I'll give the second to Mr. McDermott.
thank you, thank you. It's gonna be a long night.
All in favor?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Oh, this one's the one.
Yeah, that's, I'm like,
Okay. Miss Martin?
You want him to state his name and address first?
yes, we
Thank you.
can. Let's share. This I'll share. I
I
can't hear
can't
you.
hear.
I got
the
it. There we
green
go.
button?
Okay.
Little button on there.
Is the green button
I
there?
just pushed it.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good evening. My name is Bernard Danzansky. I'm with Equity Development Group, 6420 Congress Avenue, Boca Raton, Florida, 33487. I am
And-
Publix's agent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a petition for special exception use pursuant to Article 4, Section 4-302 of the Land Development Regulations to allow a drive-through. Variance to Article 5, Section 5-804A to allow the existing sidewalk to remain where a 10-foot wide sidewalk is required along Biscayne Boulevard. A variance to Section 5-803D to allow the building to be oriented such that it does not face the street, where it's required that new buildings shall be oriented so as to face a public street or public open space, and a variance to Section 5-804E to allow the building to be set back from the street where no setback is permitted other than for streetscape or public space in the C2BW district. Okay, some background information. The applicant is the owner of the property and wishes to demolish the existing Publix and connecting retail, as well as the fitness center building, and redevelop the property for a new Publix supermarket and fitness center. The 15,000 square foot retail building on the north side of the property, as well as the McDonald's and the bank office building fronting Biscayne, will remain. The proposed new Publix will be larger, but the overall building square footage on the site will be reduced. The Development Review Committee has reviewed the proposed plans, and the applicant has resubmitted for final review and approval by the committee. The proposed plans meet all other requirements of the LDRs other than the variances being requested. There is an abundance of parking, and the new landscaping plan will further enhance the site. Staff analysis of the special exception used to allow a drive-through. Article 4, Section 4-302 states that a drive-through is a special exception used in the district. A drive-through is proposed for the pharmacy of the proposed public store. The drive-through meets the requirements of the LDRs as outlined in Section 5-104 and below, and staff of the Community Planning and Development Department and the Development Review Committee have determined that the stacking is adequate for the accessory pharmacy use. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the special exception. Staff analysis of the variance to the 10-foot sidewalk requirement. Article 5, Section 5-804A of the LDR states that all development along major corridors shall contain a sidewalk that is at least 10 feet in width. The applicant is requesting a variance to this requirement. Staff recommends approval of the variance to allow the maintenance of the existing sidewalk as opposed to widening the sidewalk to 10 feet, as expanding the width of the sidewalk would impose an additional hardship on the development of the property, and there are no other 10-foot sidewalks in the area. Article 3, staff finds compliance with 4 of the 6 of the criteria listed for the granting of the variance. 1, special circumstances exist with regard to the property in that not only are there 3 ingress-egress points on Biscayne Boulevard, the applicant has ground leases with the 2 corner tenants, McDonald's and the bank office building, which do not allow for a redevelopment of those properties. Therefore, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to enlarge the existing sidewalk along the entire stretch. 2, the conditions necessitating the variance are unique to the property with regard to the ground leases, but other properties in the area have hardships with regard to expanding the sidewalks. 4, the literal interpretation of the LDRs would deprive the applicant of rights enjoyed by others in the zoning district, as others have not been required to widen their sidewalks to 10 feet. And 5, the requested variance is the minimum variance necessary that will make possible the reasonable use and development of the property. The staff analysis of the variance to allow the public store to not face the street. Staff recommends approval of the variance request due to the circumstances that are unique to the property and its proximity to and lease agreement with Johnson & Wales University. Staff finds the following criteria from Article 3, Section 3-606 to be in compliance with the following 4 criteria. 1, special circumstances exist peculiar to the property as the property abuts and is in front of the main building of a college campus. The college is a lessee of the applicant's property and has long been opposed to facing the back of the public store. As part of the negotiations between the applicant and the college, the proposed public store has been positioned to face north rather than east towards Biscayne. 3, the requested variance maintains the basic intent of the LDRs, which is to ensure good development and redevelopment, and the variance will not affect the stability of the neighborhood. 5, the variance requested is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land. And 6, the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the LDRs, where redevelopment can be accommodated with minimal variances. The orientation of the building will not be injurious to the area involved. The last variance is to allow the building to be set back from the street. Article 5, Section 5-804E states that no front setbacks are permitted except for the streetscape, 5 feet of pedestrian amenities, 10 feet of sidewalk, a public seating area, or plaza in front of the building. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow both the proposed public store and the retail building to be set back from the street. Staff recommends approval of the variance request and finds compliance with 5 of the 6 criteria listed in Article 3, Section 3-606. 1, special circumstances exist in that the property has other existing buildings on the site, 2 of which are up near the street. If the publics were located with no setback, the main ingress egress would have to be eliminated, and most of the parking would be to the rear of the building, which is not practical for most retail establishments. 2, the circumstances necessitating the variance are not unique to the property, as most properties on Biscayne Boulevard were designed with parking in the front of the buildings. 4, the literal interpretation of the LDRs would deprive the applicant of rights enjoyed by other properties, since it is not a total redevelopment of the property, but only a partial redevelopment, and the existing conditions must be taken into account. 5, the variance requested is the minimum variance that will make possible the best use of the land. And 6, the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the LDRs and will not be injurious to the area involved.
Anything else?
As a point of order, Madam Chair, if I may, there was I'd like to correct a scrivener's error found in staff's report. Just to be in the abundance of caution, I would like to state that the variance to allow the building to be set back from the street is actually Article 5, Section 5-804E. I just want to make that clear. That would be the section indicated for the variance to allow the buildings to be set back from the street.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. You're on.
Thank you. Again, good evening, everyone. I'm sorry to have to be here today to ask for a variance or for these variances. It's not typically our MO to go in and not 100% comply with code, but we've got some very interesting circumstances at this particular site that have limited our ability to redevelop it in the way the code is requested. I brought a color board, and I don't know the best way to present it to you all, so if I can just carry it up and maybe walk in front and can I talk to you all from there? Or are you going to
That's in the mic.
Yeah, we need this on the record, so
Face that way. This is right here. Face that way, and they get it on the camera.
yeah, we'll be able to, IT will be able to zoom in on it, and
Okay. Thank you.
Now they've got a portable mic.
I could, if I may use the mic, that'd be great. Thank you. This is working? It's on? Okay.
Yes.
But I can't point here and have you all see, right?
Yeah, you
She'll
can.
get it
See it on our monitors.
We will see.
As soon as IT
When is she gonna get it?
Okay. Can
Zoom
AV
in.
zoom in a little bit more on this particular board?
She will.
Okay.
there you
There
go.
we go.
Thank you. Public supermarkets in 2012 bought the note and mortgage that was floated by Bank of America for a previous developer, and I think it was 2 or 3 previous tries to get this property redeveloped. And they bought the rights to foreclose the note, and now they are a ground lessor from a family of some founders here, I assume, in the city of North Miami, the Turners and the Certains. So Publix has a long-term ground lease. It was, I think it's got 45 or so years left on it. And that ground lease is subject to 3 additional ground leases on the site. The first one is to McDonald's, who has an extended term in excess of 20 years, to the office building on the southeast corner of the site, that 4-story office building. So you'll see on this, on the map that I'm showing you on the board, these areas are hatched out because we don't, while Publix controls the ground lease, they do not control the sub-ground lease. And that particular tenant is responsible for the care and maintenance of their property, and we're not seeking to redevelop their properties with this application. And the third ground lease that this property is encumbered by is with Johnson & Wales. And the shape of the new ground lease is as it's depicted on this parking lot area on the bottom left side of the site. So McDonald's has a sub-ground lease that has a certain no-change area in front of it that we can't mess with as far as parking is concerned. The 4-story office building has some drive aisle requirements from 127th Street back to Biscayne. They have to have the right to be able to do this motion. Johnson & Wales has the lease at the southwest corner of the site. There's an existing 15,000 square foot retail building at the north end of the site with existing tenants in it, so raising that building was not an option either. We have 4 existing tenants within the shopping center that we're accommodating in a relocation, starting with the gym tenant. The gym's going to be relocated to the proposed Retail D building at the northwest corner of the site. H&R Block, GNC, and Manley's Jewelry are going to be relocated into the Retail E building, which is at the very top of the site. So it's been a little puzzle here to kind of piece the pieces together, and I'm sharing with you just the constraints that we had from a development perspective so that you can better understand the reason why we're asking for what we're asking for. We started a year ago or more working with Johnson & Wales. Johnson & Wales not only had a ground lease for their parking area, which doesn't look like this now, it's a slightly different configuration, and they had some first rights of refusal on some purchases of certain other parts of the property. So we needed to sit down with them in a serious manner and collaborate and try to find a way to accommodate our need to redevelop, their need for parking, and their long-term need really to take and make the intersection of 127th Street and Northeast 17th Avenue into a nice entrance for the university. As opposed to just the back of something or the side of something or the front of something. So we work collaboratively with Johnson & Wales. They've been fantastic partners. As a result of that negotiation, they've agreed to relocate their parking lot. We're going to build it. We're going to landscape it. We're going to put in security lighting. We're going to put in FPL power poles. We're going to put in emergency safe lights for them. They wanted for us to maintain the integrity of that hard corner at 127th Street. They wanted that corner to look nice so that as they developed the southern side of that intersection, it would be a nice, cohesive, and coherent flow. The closure of Northeast 17th Avenue also put a wrench into some of our circulation plans because now we don't have access to that avenue anywhere on the south side of the site. The only access to that point is going to be on the north side. We fully supported the closure of that street and to make it a pedestrian-friendly avenue, and we, through design, extended that pedestrian feel through the site so that you'd be able to get pedestrian access to Biscayne and between the Publix, the retail center, and the new gym. So it's important for us not to turn it back on our neighbors, and we think we've done a nice job of not doing that. A couple other minor points as far as constraints are concerned. The site has a very low, or the topography of the site's very low. It starts at about 3 foot on the north end and goes up to about 5 foot on the south end. And having the storeroom too close to any existing retail on the site would cause some really bad grade transitions in the parking lots, and shopping carts don't like grade very much. So to make sure that we took that in consideration as well. We have an entry point on Biscayne Boulevard that's not movable, and we had to make sure that we could spread the parking out around the site so that it would accommodate all of the uses. So constraint-wise, those are the reasons why the site plan you see is the site plan that you see. We needed to make sure that Retail E had plenty of parking, that we didn't interfere with the McDonald's parking lot. We needed to keep direct access to Biscayne Boulevard through the main thoroughfare, which would go away if it needed to be moved. We had a gym tenant to relocate. We have no access to 120 to 17th Avenue on the backside other than pedestrian. We were landlocked with the Johnson & Wales lease and their need for a parking lot, and we don't control the south corner. So options we had for the positioning of the store were where it is now, with the back facing the university, or along Biscayne Boulevard with some kind of storefront on Biscayne but no parking. We think we found the best compromise considering the site constraints that we had. So instead of me laboring over more details, it's probably best if I just open the floor for questions to the commission, if that's fine, and see if I can address any concerns you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll first open for public comment. Anyone for or against? This is your opportunity. Please come up.
Good evening. Good evening. Barry Vogel, Johnson & Wales University, 1701 Northeast 127th Street, North Miami. As Mr. Dzansky pointed out, we have worked collaboratively to come up with a solution that enables us to maintain the integrity of our parking, which is part of our campus master plan, and that we count on in order to be able to accommodate the needs of our students and our faculty and staff with regards to parking at the campus, and the thoughts of the future development of the former trailer park site on the southeast corner of that intersection of 17th and 127th. We're supportive of the plan that Publix has presented because it meets those needs that we have without creating a lot of challenges with regards to us being able to accommodate the parking needs that we have with our long-term lease. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't think he was sworn in.
No.
Swearing.
Okay, anyone that perhaps came in afterwards, after the swearing in, anyone desiring to speak this evening, including you, sir?
Okay.
You're standing up. Please stand and raise your right hand. Anyone else? Do you swear or affirm?
You could stand in the back.
You swear or affirm that the testimony you provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you may proceed. Name and address,
Name
please.
and address, please.
Name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Scott Kelly, and I own a property at 13175 Emerald Drive, and I'd like to voice.
Is your mic on?
Hello.
Okay.
All right.
Much better. Can you start all over again?
My name is Scott Cowley. I own a property at 13175 Emerald Drive, and I would like to support the project because I believe it will beautify the area, and I believe it's a place an area that needs work. And I think anytime the city is willing to let somebody improve the area, I think it's a great idea. There's not much more to say. Besides, I support the project, and I hope it goes forward. Is that it? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
My
you.
name is Kenneth Each. Most of you don't know me. I reside on Emerald Drive. I have for approximately the last 40 years. I own 3 properties there. And I have seen this Publix. I have looked at it and looked at that shopping center and the back of that shopping center for the last 30 years, and it's been despicable. It's about time it gets ripped down, changed around, and modernized. It is absolutely a disgrace. Now, we're here to talk about the layout of the building, and we want to face the building north instead of facing it to Biscayne Boulevard, which would be facing it eastbound. I went to the Publix the other day down in Miami Shores. That building is facing northbound. I also went over to the Publix over on Collins Avenue. And that building doesn't fit, not Collins Avenue, Harding Avenue and Surfside. And it has the same angle of approach. You know, I hear about traffic on Biscayne Boulevard, and how dare us close down 17th Avenue because it's going to cause a great deal of traffic. I heard the same argument 20 years ago when I was your chief of police when we closed down and gave everybody guard gates in Keystone Point. I heard the same argument when we were in San Souci and we closed off 5 streets and gave people guard gates over there. You know, Johnson & Wales did a beautiful job. 17th Avenue today with its pedestrian wall is absolutely magnificent. It's beautiful. I walk it every day. And now I see Publix coming in here, and they're going to rip down that old dilapidated structure, and they're going to put up something gorgeous, something beautiful that we all can be proud of. And they want to face the building north, and we're going to have access. Actually, what they're going to do is a short span. I'm familiar. Folks, I live there. I walk this street every day. Mr. Haber, he sees me out there every day walking through his neighborhood. And it's a short span where the trucks will come in, unload to the rear of Publix, and then, if I may, if you will excuse me, I believe they're going to go northbound and exit through a new street. They're going to go actually northbound. Can you all hear me up there? They're going to go northbound, and they're going to exit. They're going to put a new street in here, and it's going to come out on that cul-de-sac, that roundabout, and they're going to come out on 130th Street with this traffic light there. What a magnificent traffic flow. You know, I used to be a traffic sergeant, one of my many jobs in the police department over 27 years, and I think it's an excellent traffic flow. When I hear, well, it's going to cause congestion, what kind of congestion does it cause? You know what? Their deliveries start about 5 o'clock in the morning, if I'm not mistaken. They're usually done by about 8 o'clock. There's no congestion over there. Folks, let me tell you, I live in that neighborhood. I know that neighborhood like my pulse, like the back of my hand. And I emphatically support this project, and I also ask you, the Board of Adjustment, to grant them the variances that they need so that we can beautify this city and have a nice, gorgeous shopping center over there. I am tired of looking at that old dilapidated property over there. It's time for a renewal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
May I speak again?
Hold on.
You're the agent, so wait until the chair closes public hearing. Thank you. Absolutely. You did take the oath, right?
I did.
Thank you.
My name is Ross Johnson. I live at 1000 Quayside Terrace, and I work at the bank building. And one of the things that we just became aware of the fact that this was coming up today, and it happens to be occurring at the same time that the new bank has moved into our building. What we're finding is that the parking is very, very stressed. The bank's bringing in a lot of people to park that weren't coming in with the Sabadell Bank before. So the area along here and along there is becoming parking for people that are coming to the bank. At the same time, it's reserved for the tenants of the bank building. So what's happening is that the parking spaces are being taken up. We've talked to people in the because there's also the sports and fitness facility that's currently right about where this is, and those people often park there, and we've talked to them and tell them not to park in our spots, and they say, well, you know, we don't have any control over that. Tow them if you want. So the towing is probably going to start happening very soon. But what's happened with the bank is that there's a whole new contingency of people coming in and circulating in the area, using the parking, and circulating through the parking lot. What we're concerned about, and again, this is just something that we've been made aware of as of yesterday, but what we're concerned about is that the traffic pattern of the trucks coming in right by our bank, and the drive-in also right by our parking is going to, stress the area for our parking much worse than it is now. And that's going to be tough for the people on the bank. Now, we mentioned it to the bank people, but I don't think they were able to send anyone here to discuss it. But it's going to be something that they're going to be, their parking is going to be very well stressed. And I think if it's designed, one thing it'd be nice if there were a few more workshops where people could add some ideas to try to, help the design. Because the way the Publix is facing now allows for a very big area of parking for them. At the same time, other people can park in the area too. But when we have all this congestion down in the lower southeast corner, we're going to have some bad stressing on the parking. And that's one thing. It would be nice if we could have it delayed or a continuance so we could try to talk about these ideas. Is it normal for these things to come up in 2 days' notice? We didn't get any notice in our bank building that there were going to be a variance. Did they notify people in a 500-foot area?
Yeah, all property owners, but that's the same property owner, right? That bank building is on the property of Publix, right?
Well, it's I don't know exactly how it's described. It's in this area here, and they're saying it's owned by another lessee, I guess, of the bank property.
So I'm assuming, Ms. Martin, so the notification went out to the owner of the property, but not necessarily to the tenants in the building?
Right. No, it never goes to tenants.
That's
no.
probably why.
Okay, thank you.
And how the city sees parking is that when it's all one parcel owned by one person, all that parking is shared by everybody. McDonald's they only have, 6 spaces in front of the store or something like that. Right. They can use the parking that's over there, and the bank can use the Publix parking.
Yeah, but also the traffic coming in and now it's going to be truck as well as patrons and this new drive-through, which is new. That, along with the fact that there's going to be the driving for the bank people in the area also. And
is that bank coming in, does it have a drive-through as well?
Yes.
Yeah, it has 2 drive-through. I don't want to get in the way. 2 drive-through right here. So that's their drive-through. And then this is parking for bank tenants and guests of the bank. This is parking for the tenants, and there's parking over here, but it seems to be taken up by green spaces. I don't know if this is going to replace it or what. But at any rate, it just seems that there's going to be an incredible amount of traffic going through this corner down by the bank with the new, bank in there and the new traffic pattern for the public.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you had something else to add?
I just wanted to rebut or share some further details now that some issues have been raised. I think it'd be productive for you all, if you choose.
Since there are no one else, I'll go ahead and close public hearing.
Okay.
And
thank you.
all right, thank you.
So I should speak or I should speak? I can, okay. I'll be brief. This is not an approval for site plan, staff-approved site plan. This is an approval for variances and for the special exception. We've provided traffic reports for this particular site. The new configuration is going to decrease trips by 1,756 in their reporting period, which is, I believe, a daily trip reduction. We're taking the square footage of the shopping center from 188,000 down to 98,000. We're cutting it by 47%. We're taking the green space from 3% and we're making it now 23%. So you're going to see grass, you're going to see trees. As far as the truck circulation is concerned, I did bring an exhibit that I would like to share with board, if I may, that shows the truck routing, because I understood this to be an issue only earlier today, that this particular graphic will show a WB67, which is the largest of large semis. The fire department uses a smaller vehicle for their circulation, but you'll see it entering on 127th Street, making an immediate and quick turn to the loading docks. We have 2 loading bays in the back. The loading dock is enclosed as well. We have 4 loading zones in the back, and we have room for plenty more trucks back there. It's not our desire to create a shopping center that's going to have a bottleneck at a main entry for our clients and for our customers. So we plan our sites so that we can get the trucks in, and once they're in, they can maneuver properly and safely. As far as just clarification, Publix is not the fee simple title holder for the property. It is owned by the Surtons and the Gordon families, or the Turner families, rather. Publix has further subleased that corner to the bank, and the bank, that 4-story building, as well as McDonald's, have cross-access and cross-parking rights throughout the site. So there was some complaint about some parking spaces being lost. It's not on their site, it's on the Publix proper site. We've added 10 spaces to make up for the 6 lost, and they have total access to parking throughout the site. So,
Sir, would you like to introduce those documents
I would
into
love to.
the record? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
there are 2 sheets. One shows truck traffic inbounding from Biscayne, and the other one at 27th, and the other one shows truck traffic.
Okay.
Both entering and exiting on Biscayne, in case that's helpful to the board.
Okay.
Okay,
you so
thank
much.
you all very much.
Now we'll entertain board discussion. Mr. McDermott?
First off, a question to staff. Staff? Hi. He was mentioning that this is just an approval for a variance. This is not a site plan approval, correct?
Right, right.
Okay. Is there an opportunity for public input on the site plan issue?
That would go before the planning commission. That
Go
would
before the
be-
planning commission?
Yeah, no, it's
It's
not
not going to
going-
go before the
No.
planning commission?
It goes to the Development Review Committee.
Pardon?
It goes to the Development Review Committee for site plan approval.
Okay, and then it goes to the planning commission?
No. No, it won't go to
Goes back
planning.
here?
No, it won't come back here.
So once the staff
Only
committee...
if they didn't meet, if they wanted to appeal a requirement of the Development Review Committee, the appeal would go to the Board of Adjustment.
Okay, but the
And we
appeal-
have a consultant that actually reviews for traffic circulation and whatnot.
Mhm.
And they made a lot of comments the first go-around, and they're now reviewing it for the second go-around.
Mhm.
So we kind of leave it to them as far as traffic circulation, throughout the site and whatnot.
Okay, so the site...
Other than that, them and the city engineer. I mean, the city engineer would be the next most educated person in that field as far as...
Yeah. So the site plan, which is reviewed by staff, becomes the deal. In other words, it doesn't come back to us, doesn't go to the planning commission or the city council.
Right. So when I reviewed the site plan for DRC, this is what I found, that they needed the special exception and the variances based on the plan that they submitted. It was not something we could approve, and that they needed to get the variances in order to have it pass DRC. So I can't sign off on it if you guys don't approve the variances.
Okay. Next question to the architect, if I may.
There's no architect, it's me today, so I'll do my best if I can.
Okay. Okay. What prompted you to... The original site was basically the extension of the existing Publix. if I'm not if I'm incorrect, tell me. But the original plans that many of the citizens were aware of was the site on the facing the street where it is now. What prompted the change? There must have been what prompted the change from facing the street to facing north?
Be happy to tell you. Publix has been a tenant at the site for 30, 40 years. And over the last 10 to 12, the shopping center has been in a really bad state of transition. And spaces were emptying out. Several developers, independent, private, third-party developers stepped up. And we're trying to put together a deal here that would redevelop the center. There have been many ideas floated. Last developer that took a swing at it was Chuck Monroe with Monroe's Prestige Group. And I don't know what I don't know what the history was. I didn't go back and look at what was done because I knew the constraints that I had to work with. So there may have been previous plans submitted that others have seen by other developers, but now what's being represented to you is by the controlling interest of the property by Publix, considering the constraints that exist right now. Does that answer your question?
Sort of.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So the question was, there were other site plans that I'm not privy to that were fronting Biscayne Boulevard that this board has seen or that citizens have seen?
No, I don't believe that was the question.
I'm sorry.
I think the question was, Mike, that it is facing east now, and now you want to face it north. No. What was the reason for that change? Is that correct, Mike?
Yeah, well, you know, the early on, most of us were aware that Publix wanted to expand, was going to move the gym to the north, was going to keep that row of buildings to the north where the veterinarian is, and was going to move and take over what is now an empty sports center to expand facing the boulevard.
Okay.
Now it's turned facing north. So there had to be something that prompted somebody saying, we cannot do this. We have to change it to facing north.
Mike, through the chair, they had already mentioned that the university didn't want to look at the back of the building and the loading docks. That was their reason for changing the orientation of the building.
And there are many other reasons as well, because we had other constraints. So if I may, let's just take the premise that you take the building and put it where you were thinking you would go, which if you look at this plan, I'm just going to pivot this yellow box and face it east. Okay. Right. Now I have a handicapped parking lot in the front, meaning I have maybe 2 spaces per 1,000 as opposed to 5. Now I have side parking, which is not prototypical parking for grocery customers. Customers like to go where it's convenient, where it's quick, and if you start moving parking around back, around the side, it becomes less beneficial to the customer. I have the Johnson & Wales issue as far as their placement. I have the issue now also of having a parking lot that is not, or a shopping center that's not oriented together. So I've got these buildings on the north side that are going to stay, that are facing to the south, and now I'm putting a storeroom turned to its side, not facing it, with questionable connectivity and a parking field that's not quite consistent. So the parking field now turns, and you've got parking that's going east-west and north-south, so you get it becomes choppy. From a development perspective, those are the main reasons why, in addition to the others that I mentioned, that the storeroom can't just simply go in where it currently is.
Madam Chairman, if I might, one more question.
I think there are others, but make it quick.
Okay, I will. And that is I drive up and down 127th Street all the time. And looking at what I see, and I understand that this is, it appears that all of your truck traffic is going to be coming off of 127th Street. And to me, it looks like, although you say that there's going to be a lot of room, there certainly is a lot more room in the back of the present Publix for the trucks that come in off 130th than the ones that are going to have to come in and make that sharp turn on that one. It's only a 2-lane road with a median in the center. It's going to be difficult for trucks to get in there, unload, and get out without having to transverse through the parking lot because they can't turn around. So they're going to have to come out on the west side of the building and go through the parking lot and come out on Biscayne Boulevard. If I'm looking at it correctly, if I'm not, please show me where I'm.
So I'm going to take if you look at the first page of the handouts on the truck turning, it's the WB67 auto turn rear access plan.
Uh-huh.
So you'll see the trucks entering from Biscayne Boulevard onto 127th Street, which is a very sleepy road, 127th Street. It dead ends here at Biscayne, and it dead ends 2 blocks to the other direction. So your main traffic down the road is university traffic and perhaps some pass-through. But the configuration of what's been done, this peanut on Biscayne Boulevard, has discouraged probably a lot of traffic from using that roadway. So we figured it was the best roadway to access from as opposed to the worst. So you would enter the site at the bottom. The trucks, and again, you're looking at the WB67, which is the oversized trailer, of which maybe 2 a day will come through a Publix. There may be smaller trucks, but the 2 big ones that you're concerned about are coming in. We have 2 truck wells in the back to house them, and we have plenty of room for staging for other trucks. It's a direct path out of the site. So when we design our site plans, we look for lease turns on the trucks. We don't allow backing motions of trucks on the site. It's all straightforward path. This is a very straight path. You make your 1 turn on, you drive across, you deliver, you drive out, you make a turn, and you're driving straight north, basically, to, fortunately, a lighted intersection at 130th Street that allows the trucks to get back on Biscayne both north and south.
Now they're going to come. They're going to come out. They're coming in, and they're going out through where? Where
they're going to go out. The streets are misnamed here, but 130th Street is the signalized intersection in front of the
but do they
Kia.
have? But do they have access from the back of this to 17th Avenue?
I can't see where you're pointing. You'll forgive me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Coming out of the back of the store.
Okay.
Do they have access to 17th Avenue?
They have access to 17th Avenue just north of the traffic circle that's been built back there by Johnson & Wales. So you'll see, if you follow the pink, the magenta and the red lines, as they follow up, the truck leaves the site. And again, this is the oversized trailer 2 a day. Early in the mornings, typically, we'll be exiting at the north side of the site.
Okay. All right.
But they answered your question, sir.
Well, okay. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Who else?
I would like to.
Ms. Cohen?
Hi. I have a real problem with what you just said. You can't even make a left. There's no light at that spot at 127th Street. So you have a semi that's sitting there waiting to make a left, and that area is backed up considerably. Cars can't get through there. The other item that you have just stated is not true. That is the main entrance into that campus. People are driving down very fast. Then when you pull into that parking lot, you have a bank building that has drive-through. You have an area that's prescription drive-through, now a pharmacy. And when they get backed up, which they're getting backed up today, and this is not even there, you're going to have semi-trucks standing out there with their rear ends hanging out in Biscayne Boulevard, or that they can't turn in, and everything is going to come to a standstill. This area that you have created is a congestion, madhouse. On top of that, you have kids walking from the school that they're going to use that as an entranceway. There's not a sidewalk there. There's no way for a person to walk. Then they're going to walk in front of what? The pharmacy, the drive-through pharmacy, and the drive-through bank teller area outside. It's just a mess. You're talking about also, you're asking for a variance for not to face Biscayne Boulevard. But let's face it, you just said that this is the entranceway for 127th Street. You have your back of your building facing a street. That should be a second variance. And why are we allowing that? That's a street, 127th Street. Not only that, people turn up the 127th Street, have to make a U-turn and go into the TD Bank. There have been accidents left and right going down in that situation without even having your building in this location. There's no hardship. Move it up. I don't care if it's north, facing north, so long as you're not creating this dangerous situation, a potential for people, and especially the kids walking in, because that's their entrance way, to go to the market or wherever else they want to do. And then if you moved it up to the center, let's be real here. You're not giving us a full plan. You haven't told me what the whole plan is going to be, because they're going to have out parcels and streets and little restaurants, and that's why you're setting it up this way. Move it up. Move it further up north, and then, we wouldn't have that problem. But you have a situation here that is going to backfire and cause a lot of problems. There's too much traffic there today, and you're trying to put a building on a massive piece of property and shove it, behind a building next to a parking area. And what is the sense of it? And then you have the 130th Street. That is a dead end. That is a perfect place for you to somehow figure out that the trucks will get in. And it has a light, so the trucks that are coming from the south have the ability to make a left-hand turn. It astounds me. I could go on and on and on. Let's see. You're asking for variances that there's no viability in this. And then you have the trucks that are running through the whole center, and you're saying you're doing this because of Johnson and Wales? I mean, there are other people in the neighborhood other than Johnson and Wales. And the fact is, they have a big parking lot back there. If that whole parking lot had to see the back of their building, my car can stand it. Can yours? I mean, come on. This whole plan is absurd. You are going to have situations that those trucks can't even get in. And that's it.
All right, thank you. Mary? Ms. Irvin, I'm sorry.
Oh, Mary's fine. I don't have much of a problem with the plan, with the exception that I don't have too much of a problem. I am concerned about the traffic on 127. That I can agree with my colleague. But what I am inclined to ask the board to do is to possibly table it for next time, because we have a business, a tenant or owner, and requesting a workshop. And I think that's reasonable to explain to the neighboring businesses the activities that you'd like to do, so that there's synergy between you guys. That would be my greatest comment right now.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Haber.
Yes, I have a couple comments. First of all, I've heard the pros and the cons, and I'm a little conflicted here, because I think that this design is very innovative. I think that it's extremely creative. I think that it solves several problems with this property that we're experiencing and have experienced for many years. So I think it's a great design. I share in my board members' concerns about the cut-in at 127th, but I don't know if there's a viable solution to this. Therefore, it may be something that we just have to go with. I am very happy that you're able to retain the small business tenants. That's a huge issue for me. Retaining the gym and the other small guys like Manley's, who have been a staple of that center for many years. One quick question about the sidewalks. Do they already have pavers? Can you tell me, Joanne? Do they have pavers already on the sidewalks?
Yeah.
I'm
That's a
Biscayne
state
Boulevard.
Yeah, that's a state road.
Yeah, so they already have pavers, so tearing them up and telling them they need to do a new sidewalk would be kind of ridiculous. Their variance really makes sense. I wanted to ask about, and that's a similar variance that we gave to Whole Foods. Is that correct?
Yes,
I believe
and
it is.
Wendy's too.
Right, and Wendy's too. So, in order to treat everyone fairly, we would offer you the same type of variance if we were being fair. Our job is to do that, to treat everyone the same and fairly. Are the parking lots all connected? You know, we had people referring to the Wells Fargo parking lot, the bank building parking lot, and the McDonald's parking lot. Are those connected to this site plan?
Every parking space that is on the site is usable by all tenants
Okay.
on the site.
Yeah, I wanted to verify that.
Thank you.
I know it's not entirely our oversight, but I always ask about security on every single variance that has to do with retail or business. We're always concerned about security in our neighborhoods in every part of this city.
Would
Do you have
like
any
me to-
kind of
I
narrative
can,
about
I
that?
can address a couple points on that.
Yeah, please.
There was a question raised about the sidewalk also. We're proposing to put paver sidewalk all the way down northeast 127th Street as well. I'm sorry, so there'll be a sidewalk from the entrance point on 127th back connecting to Johnson and Wales down that street. Okay. We follow CP TED in our design principles. And we also will have 5-foot candles, all lighting around the site, everything properly screened. So what you're going to take is an old, dilapidated site that's a little bit dark and has a lot of areas that maybe or could be questionable, and the entire site will be properly lit. So,
all right. And just a quick question. I mean, you have a lot of college students. This is right in front of a college entrance. Do you plan on having indoor, outdoor seating like I've seen at other Publixes? To accommodate the foot traffic, which I believe will be very great in your case.
I don't know the answer to the question. One of the other members mentioned that this maybe not be the whole plan. I can assure you that this is the entire plan. We're not looking to come back in and do more stuff, add more out parcels or anything of the sort. This is the intense use of this, as intense a use of site as we can make happen.
I'd like at this point to make a motion to approve this unless there's any other discussion.
More discussion.
Oh, okay.
Can you table your motion?
Yes, I made the motion to approve, but
Okay.
I'll wait for discussion.
Okay. You mentioned something that part of your reason for turning the Publix was because of handicap parking. Can you elaborate on that?
No, I maybe my choice of words wasn't good. When I said the word handicap, meaning that there wouldn't be sufficient parking in front of the store to accommodate the patrons of the store.
Because there's only 9 on your plan, so if you turn it, there'd still be plenty of room for 9 plus, because it's not like you're taking away anything.
No, I'm not, and forgive me, there's nothing to do with handicap or handicap parking. In my statement was a poor choice of words.
Okay.
Okay, we will have the required parking per code to service handicapped individuals directly in front of the buildings as you're supposed to per ADA. Turning the store would make the parking field in front of the store not as good as it could be. It wouldn't be the optimal experience for the customers.
Okay.
We'd have side parking, front parking, side parking.
Okay. This is the only Publix that I'm aware of that has a traffic plan that calls for part of its delivery trucks to drive through one row of parking. And I don't care if it's 5 a.m. or 7 a.m. when the stores opens. I've never seen a Publix that calls for traffic going through the parking lot.
Is that the case?
Publix has over 1,000 stores around the southeast.
I know 5 very well.
Okay. Maybe the 5 you know don't have this pattern, but I can assure you, this is my 15th store to work on for them, that there are plenty of sites that have traffic running through parking fields, have traffic backing through even parking fields. These truck drivers are professional drivers. They pride themselves in their professionalism and their accident-free nature, and they're very well trained. They know how to drive their semis.
Okay. How are you going to address the challenge, which is going to happen, unfortunately, with the 2 drive-throughs being so close together? Because the bank drive-through already backs up into that little road behind it.
Okay.
And your Publix having a drive-through, I've seen Walgreens drive-throughs back up, and I know you guys are putting in a drive-through to be more competitive. So how are you going to mitigate the fact that you're going to have multiple cars going into 2 different drive-throughs at the same time? Because it's not wide enough for 4 lanes of traffic. It's 2, and one going each way.
And that's a good question. The traffic for the pharmacy is nowhere like you would expect traffic. This is not a drive-through like a restaurant. This is a convenience drive-through.
Right.
Okay, for folks who may have their kids in the car, or somebody can't get out of the car. For folks that just don't feel like coming in, they're stacking for 5 cars in that drive-through. 5. And I can't cite a time that they're that I can remember in seeing Publix drive-throughs that there's been any more than one car, if two, in the stacking. So maybe there's a pre-existing problem with the bank and the way that those drive-throughs are configured. We left that stacking alone. We left it so it looks like they can get 3 or 4 cars in there. We've now added a nice throat where there's plenty of room for other stacking. I just don't see it as being an issue, and neither did our traffic engineers.
One of the things that we're supposed to do is approve variances based on hardship. I'm hearing everything you're saying, but I'm still not capturing where there's actually a hardship. I've lived here for 30 years. That Publix is ugly. So I have to agree with what Chief Each is saying. It's not the prettiest building. I've actually stopped shopping there because it's not pretty. But I'm still not hearing a hardship. What's your hardship? Why do you have to move it? Why can't you just turn it?
Do you want to talk about which of the 3 variances?
Any
this
of
maybe
that, all of them
Okay.
basically. I need to know what your actual hardship is because it is a huge plot of land. And you guys have the whole plot of land to you except the 2 corners. I'm not hearing a hardship about why you can't build where it is.
Well, I guess in order for me to address the question, I need to understand where you would like for me to put the storeroom on the site plan so that I can address the developmental issues.
Leaving it facing Biscayne.
Okay. So, if we left it facing Biscayne, if you put it in the same spot that the existing storeroom is in now, okay, you would have an additional 6-month closure of the storeroom. Okay. So if that's okay for the community, then I'll have their Publix for an additional 6 months. That's a selection for the board. We would have all of the parking for the so I'm going to walk away from this. So if the storeroom was here as I'm pointing, okay, so I'm just going to keep circling that particular area. Okay, so now we have a public storeroom with the front where my pen is, and now we have boxed off an access point, and we've now boxed off the parking for the retail e-center. Now, how do I make my traffic aisles work for the retail E? Retail E, I can't make my traffic go this way. That's not the way the traffic flow works over there. You have the McDonald's drive-through that's impeding me. I need to accommodate cars leaving that drive-through. So I have to have access points that go north-south. My Publix is here. My parking lot now is going to have access points going east and west. You're basically going to drive in from Biscayne Boulevard, and you're going to be immediately facing the Publix. It wouldn't go exactly where it is now. If you look in the back of that store, I can't circulate back there anymore the way that we do. Right now, we have a temporary fence set up in the back because there was so much pass-through traffic from the street. But the trucks use that area to navigate because the loading docks are berthed almost against the street in the back. So those are just a few of the challenges with that particular configuration. Johnson & Wales was certainly a consideration because without their consent, I can't put the storeroom where you're suggesting because they've got an option on that property. My other hardships include the fact that I can't redevelop the 2 hard corners, where I have to take into consideration their parking needs. I have to take into consideration their drive-through needs. I don't have access to the greenway in the back. Now, if I had, perhaps there'd be a different discussion, but we thought that was a very good move for the city and for the university to now have a greenway so that the students could feel comfortable walking. We've provided the pedestrian connectivity so we can serve them lunches from the cafe maybe on the inside or from the deli on the inside. The hardships, there are a multitude of hardships. This was not our first choice. It's probably the most expensive of the choices for us as well because this is the lowest part of the site. I've got to fill to bring that storeroom to a grade in order to get out of the flood zone. In the best scenario, I'd build it on the north side where it's highest, but I have tenants, and Publix has a policy of supporting their small tenants, especially the tenants that have been here for such a long time and have been patient with the redevelopment efforts that have failed time after time after time after time.
So what's to stop you then, if you're being cognizant of your tenants, of building a smaller retail on the other side so you can put the Publix on the north side?
Tearing down the existing building?
Okay. How much do you think Publix will lose if it's closed for 6 months? And is that a contributing factor to why they're deciding to go with this?
No. Publix is all about customer service. And when you close a store and you take the employees from that store, and you take the employees from that store and you relocate them, you dislocate them, you move them to other stores, you're inconveniencing people. They choose to not inconvenience people when it's possible. They're employees, the residents of the community. They like to keep the continuity, keep things in as fluid as possible. So the shorter duration of closure, the better the scenario for everyone is concerned.
As I drink my Publix water,
Thank you.
and I say that when I was on crutches, the people at Publix on 145th were incredibly good to me, shopping with me when I couldn't walk. I'm still not hearing a hardship. I'm hearing challenges, but I'm not hearing a true hardship. And I respect the fact that you're trying to sell me on one, but I guess I'm a tough sell. I'm just not
and
hearing
please,
it.
For you all just meeting me this evening, I don't sell to sell. Again, as I said as I walked up here, this is my last preference. I think of the 15 transactions that I've done, I've had 2 that have had variances. 2. This plan went through almost a year and a half between staff, between Johnson & Wales, between accommodating tenants. This is the best scenario that we can provide, and we feel the safest.
Okay, hold on, Mr. McDermott.
I'm done with
Are
my
you
questions.
done?
Yes, I'm finally done.
Okay. Mr. Margie, you've been waiting.
Patiently, thank you.
Thank you. Well, this Publix, I shop there also. And tell the truth, I'm thirsty of something beautiful. I have issue with the traffic, of course. And the bank is also an issue. But therefore, the property, anybody park anywhere, if I understand correct?
That's correct.
You got my blessing.
Okay.
Michael,
You had one more thing to say,
One
Mr.
more thing.
McDermott.
First off, I think everybody here loves Publix, okay? And we're all looking forward to the big store because we want the competition with Whole Foods. So we're all getting ready to saddle up to the salad bar. So anyway, but again, and we like the fact that you're enhancing the front of Johnson & Wales University. That's a good thing. I think there's just some real questions, mainly about traffic flow, mainly about how you make sure that you control accidents and, public access, that kind of thing. I believe it was Ms. Garcia mentioned about the pharmacy and the congestion there with the drive-through and the bank's drive-through, and I can see the possibility for real congestion there. Is there any way you can move it to the other end of the store, or is this totally out of the design factor of how Publix designs things?
That particular request is outside of what their prototypical configuration is. You walk in the store, the pharmacy's on the left, and that's how they've designed their store. They have very little back room nowadays.
Through the Madam Chair, I'd like to make one more board comment.
Sure.
Michael, if you're done.
Yes, sir.
Very briefly, I stopped going to Walgreens on 123rd because they don't have a drive-through. So I drive all the way from Keystone, where I live, up to 151st, just to go through their Walgreens drive-through. Walgreens probably has 5 times as much business as Publix on the pharmacy end. Okay, I've never had more than 2 cars in front of me in the years that I go to collect my medicine. So I would testify that my experience is that that's not an issue. Holly, especially directed at you for the backing up of the prescriptions, and I do believe, in all sincerity, what he's saying is that won't be an issue at this location. I'm just, as
Okay.
far as stacking is concerned, I don't know about the other issues, but as far as stacking is concerned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And my concern is also with the left turn from where you're proposing. I do know there is not a traffic light where the truck will be turning in, although there is one where they're coming out. And driving along Biscayne, people here in South Florida, and I hate to say Miami-Dade, they're not very courteous.
Really?
Okay.
Are you talking about
And
Oh my goodness.
that is a concern. So I don't know what you're going to do. But I have another concern with the gentleman that spoke, the fact that you have a 4-story building, you have plenty of tenants, and those tenants are not aware of what's coming. So that's a concern for me because, you know, it makes sense that, and I think it's a new bank coming in, and maybe they wouldn't have come in if they knew this was going to take place. You know, those are, and it's a beautiful concept. You know, those are my issues.
Madam Chair, it's not standard practice to notify tenants via a mailing by the
No, I
requirement.
understand.
And we actually did have conversations with the owner of the building yesterday about the configuration, and we stressed to him that his lease document provides for what he has, and we are providing for what the lease document requires, and we have also added 10 parking spaces to their immediate field in order to accommodate their request. And again, the parking has been calculated by staff to be sufficient for the entire shopping center as a whole, and that's how it's calculated in this kind of project. And as far as the traffic is concerned, know that Publix will evaluate the options for their vehicular access, and they will find the safest route to travel, and they will program that into their GPS systems, and the trucks will take the same route every single time. So if they find that this left turn from Biscayne at 4 or 5 or 6 in the morning isn't the right opportunity, they'll change their schedules because they don't want to put their trucks in jeopardy, and they don't want lawsuits. And we always find that it's the outbound motion that's the more complicated motion, not the inbound. Because inbound, usually you have traffic moving in a direction, you can make your turns. Once you're on site and you're safe. It's the leaving part, it's the getting across intersections and major thoroughfares that are problematic. And that's why we always have the in to be the fastest, quickest in, and the out can be as laborious as it needs to be so that the safety can be upheld. So thank you.
The deliveries are 5.
I can't on record say that they will limit their deliveries to certain hours. Typically, they have a few semis a day delivered to their site, and they have their rack job trucks, their smaller Coke trucks and their bread trucks and such that deliver. This is a large site. It's got plenty of room on the site to accommodate those trucks when they come in, and we feel, and Publix feels, that it's a safe means of ingress and egress for them and their trucks.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
Mr.
I'm
Haber.
looking at a GPS on my tablet and see that there is, in fact, a sidewalk on 127th Street, so I was just curious as to what Ms. Cohen was referring to with not having a sidewalk there. Was that what you said,
When they're
or was it something
walking up
else?
127th Street and they turn into this location because there's
Oh, there's no
supposedly-
sidewalk coming in.
And they're walking,
Coming
yes,
into the
coming
property.
into the property. There is no sidewalk, and there's no sidewalk on the side of the bank, and there's no sidewalk where the cars are going to stack up, you know.
But you have pedestrian.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're going to use it.
We, again, tonight, I wasn't prepared to have a site plan discussion tonight. I was prepared to answer questions as they relate to my variance and to the special exception. I will tell you that we work collaboratively with staff here to make sure that it's right. So if you would like some kind of connection, pedestrian connection to 127th Street, we'll be happy to provide it. It's not an issue. But that wouldn't be an unusual requirement to satisfy a special exception or a variance. But I'd be, again, on the record, would be happy to accommodate that request.
Oh, and one more question. All that in the back will be enclosed, so no one will have to look at it?
No, thank you. That's a good question. There's actually a privacy wall between the Johnson & Wales parking lot and the access aisle back there. I believe it's shown as a 6-foot privacy wall. In front of that wall, or on the south side of that wall, will be landscaping, as you can see in the picture that's in front of me, large trees, so that you'll have the wall that blocks the lower portion of the truck area, and then you'll have the trees and the canopy of the trees that block the top part. So all you'll be able to see is really the top of the back of the storeroom, which we are decorating as well, as Johnson & Wales has requested us to do.
Madam Chair, I don't think, again, I'd like to repeat my motion for approval based on the fact that I don't believe with any of my heart that Publix would ever intentionally or unintentionally ever endanger their potential customers or our residents in the community. I think that they're bending over backwards to try and figure out the most innovative and problem-solving plan to get this thing moving. And again, I support their efforts. I believe that working with staff, they'll do the right thing. And even this problem that Ms. Cohen brought up, which I believe is a problem, could potentially be solved before anything is constructed, because they've done this enough times that I don't doubt them. They have a great track record. So based on that, I motion for approval, with everything that's recommended by staff.
Do you want to take them one by one or all together?
No, you have to go one by one.
I think we have to.
You want to do it one by one?
Yes.
Oh, as a group.
You can.
And if you have any, is there any conditions, other
Yeah,
conditions
sure.
you want to
Go
impose
ahead.
with your motion?
Well, it's V1513, and all three variances are in the same package, so I would motion for approval of all three at the same time, unless another board member does not concur.
I do not concur.
Okay, well then, that's off the table.
Thank you. You'd like to go one by one?
One by one, please.
Okay.
And there's
May
a
I
special exception too, don't
Wait.
forget the special.
We have a question over here.
No. Well, before anything, there is a motion. I didn't hear a second. Was there a second before any further
I
discussion?
second the motion.
Thank you. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I don't know how the board feels, and I know that Roslyn and I share the same concern. I just would like a conversation. Out of courtesy, I understand that, they own the property and they can do what they'd like, but we have, out of courtesy, I would feel comfortable if there was conversation with the tenants and people that have businesses there and that would be affected by that.
Since that was directed at me as a question, may I respond to that? I don't have to. Your call, Madam Chair.
Yep.
That's okay. What we're doing for the shopping center is going to revitalize it. It's going to take a downtrodden shopping center that is way in need of in repairs, and we're going to be building a brand new storeroom with refacing new buildings, etc. All we're going to be doing is enhancing this site. We've taken the parking ratio and made it better for these tenants that are here that are existing. The ground, and so we are very much accommodating those tenants now, and we're doing it in compliance with the lease documents that those tenants are subjected to, whether they know it or not. So we can have all the discussions we'd like to with the tenants. I'd be happy to meet, go to lunch, and have coffee. But from a development design perspective, again, if there's things we need to nuance for them, we'll be happy to do it. But this process needs to move forward is kind of what, so we can get there. And knowing that I have the board's blessing to continue, we can then have those discussions and have talks. And again, we will continue to be accommodating.
And
I'd like to make,
Go ahead.
amend the motion to make that a part of the motion that they.
I wish we could, but I don't see how we can approve this thing, let it move forward, and then talk about it.
I don't have a problem with approving it, but I wouldn't, why can't we just have more workshop like one of the
Well, then
business
we can
owners
make
have?
we can make a
Provision on that.
provision, we can make it a
inside.
provision of our approval, or no? Is
I-
that, Mr. Galdos,
no.
is that possible?
I don't believe we can attach that they have to have a workshop, because we've not had workshop for
For Board of
private,
Adjustment.
Under the
It's
code,
unconventional.
under the code, we're required to provide notice to all property owners within 500 square feet. It's up to the property owner to discuss such items with their
with
tenants.
the tenants, okay.
And
That's
all those
really
issues are to be
our
dealt with
guidelines.
between the tenant and the property owner. And this is one property owner.
It's not really under our guidelines to go ahead and try to do that. Unfortunately, it's not within our power, or we would do it. That's not in our power. It would be a different board or a different committee that would enforce
As
that.
with anything that we approve, I do believe that the city will do, I guess, monitoring once it's put it, because with the concerns that we have with 127th, so that they can see whether or not it has become, and I know Publix may do their own, but I'd like the city to also keep that in mind if it becomes a problem with that traffic with the truck, how they're going in and, you know, things like that.
I have a lot of confidence in Ms. Martin that she'll never let
I know
anything
she's looking
happen.
at me. More work?
You're in the hot seat now.
Okay.
We have to do them one by one
Okay.
because that's what was requested.
All right. Which would be
The special exception for the
allow
sidewalk,
drive-through.
to allow the drive-through, and then you have several variances, one for the sidewalk
Yeah.
and the setback and the building orientation.
Okay. So the first one is
The first one's what?
the
The drive-through.
Drive-through
special
section.
exception to allow a drive-through. So does Mr. Haber needs to make his motion for each one separately?
If that's how we're entertaining them, yes, there has to
Right,
be
I
a
make-
motion for each of the items, and it falls or stands individually.
I make a motion to approve the petition for special exception use pursuant to Article 4, Section 4302 of the Land Development Regulations to allow a drive-through.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second it.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
No.
Mr. Haber,
Yes.
Mr. Marty,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen,
No.
Ms. Irvin,
No.
Four, three.
3 and 3 passes?
The next one would be a motion for approval for a petition for special exception use pursuant to a variance to Article 5, Section 5804A, to allow the existing sidewalk to remain where a 10-foot sidewalk is required along Biscayne Boulevard.
A second.
I second it.
Roll call.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Marty,
Yes.
Mr. Haber,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Irvin,
Yes.
So that's two.
Before, point of order, before you continue, I'd like to just bring, the applicant did mention that he will provide for a sidewalk connection. Was that, can you clarify that? What was your proposal?
We will, as Ms. Cohen had requested, I believe, provide a pedestrian connection to 127th Street. I don't know where yet, but we'll provide some kind of connection point, so there's a sidewalk that connects that to another safe sidewalk within the site to be able to get to the store and around the rest of the store.
Thank you. I would just like to make it clear for the record that these motions are premised on that condition. Okay? Thank you. You may proceed.
All right, petition for special exception use pursuant to a variance to Section 5803D to allow the building to be oriented such that it does not face the street where it is required that new buildings shall be oriented so as to face a public street or public open space.
I second the motion again.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Ms. Phillips,
All right, reluctantly, I'm going to have to say no.
Ms. Garcia,
No.
Mr. Haber,
Yes.
Mr. Marty,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott, Ms. Cohen,
No.
Ms. Irvin,
No.
All right, I believe there's one more. So I'll go ahead and read a petition for special exception use pursuant to a variance to section 5804E to allow the building to be set back from the street where no setback is permitted other than for streetscape or public space in the C-2 BW district.
I will second it again.
Roll call.
Ms. Phillip,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
Mr. Haber,
Yes.
Mr. Marty,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Irvin,
Yes.